next thing that I want to go over, and I can close this down. The next thing that I wanted to go over was spiritual awakening. So I'm probably going to compile all of these. This is a long video. It's already 30 minutes. Okay, but I did this earlier in a shorter amount of time. I'm probably talking now that I did. I did a walkthrough earlier, y'all. But spiritual awakening is something that I have noticed as of late. It has been going around on Twitter. So it seems that once certain people get a wind of things start to trend and more people begin to talk about them. But the good thing is it opens up conversation. It opens up good, much needed conversation. Okay, so what I want to go over was spiritual awakening, because along with, the popular trendy people making things popular, different interpretations come out, and then you have people doing the most about stuff and they don't really understand what it is and what it means. Okay, so I just want to go over spiritual awakening, because sometimes when we hear about these things, number one, if you are of a certain religious background, they instill in us that anything outside of that is, that's not what we were taught. That's not how we were brought up. That, that's not right, because certain things were instilled in us. But we have to learn to step outside of that mind frame, step outside of that thinking, because it keeps us in a box. It keeps us not being fully fulfilled and not receiving that full nourishment and enrichment that there is to have if we step outside of our comfort zone, if we step outside our normal thought processes, our normal beliefs, our normal patterns, our normal everything, right? So we shouldn't be afraid to take risks. We should not be afraid to step outside the status quo. We should not be afraid to go against certain norms and certain beliefs that society has imposed on us, because we, number one, are afraid that we'll be ridiculed from outside sources, but number two, because we are afraid. And you may not know that one particular thing may be the reason why you're here. That may be your purpose, is for you to come along and step out and break the bounds of this particular thing so that it can create something new and different and beautiful. So I also wanted to let you guys know that in that same line, we tend to be afraid to adapt to changes when we see adversity, when we see changes in society. Our first mind is to think something bad is going on, something evil is going on. So it's important that we, number one, learn how to face adversity, learn how to face challenges, but we also gain that emotional intelligence. All of this information is important so that we know how to handle ourselves, so that we know how to handle the people around us, and we know how to handle circumstances and situations that are around us. Okay. All right. So a spiritual awakening is not something that's all deep and all magical and evil and all of those things that people may have you thinking that it is. It's, once I break it down, you're gonna be like, oh, I may have gone through that, but then I got stuck at this stage and I keep going backwards. And you'll understand once I break this down. So let's do this. I pulled it up earlier. This is my homework, so it's not here. Let's open a new window. Let's hide this. So my notepads. Let's open a new window. Ain't no Pornhub in my history. All right. Or Facebook. All right. So what I pulled up earlier was I have everything written down, but I wanted to pull it up. I looked earlier. So there are 5 stages or there are 5 forms of spiritual ascension. We'll get there. This is spiritual awakening. Okay. First, need to break down what spiritual alchemy is, because y'all hear that word a lot, the word alchemy, and it basically means being able to take something that's one material. The literal meaning is being able to take something that's one material and being able to combine it with something else, or being able to manipulate it and form it into something that's even more beautiful, into something that's totally different from what it originally was. And that can be applied both physically when you're dealing with matter and materials and properties and all those things, but it also goes to 2 other levels, the spiritual level and our soul level. And I know y'all hear spiritual and y'all hear soul. Those are intertwined, but the soul, your soul is your inner purpose. Spiritual has a lot to do with your state of being and how your spiritual environment and support team as well. Okay. Basically your spiritual self and your outer spiritual support team and spiritual awareness. And I'm going to get into all of that. So I wanted to explain to you guys that soul alchemy is the process of aligning with the energy of your soul. That is your journey from unconsciousness to consciousness. So what you'll also notice is there are similarities between being conscious and being woke. And the difference is when people go through this woke type thing, is them becoming aware of the oppression and the negative things that society has placed upon us to condition for manipulation and all those things that they believe. I don't want to get into that, okay? But they also discovered that religion and their belief system is something that was also handed to them and molded and fashioned into, you know, what it is. So for the purpose of others or for some other type of purpose, but that's not the point of being woke. And people get stuck at that point, and then they walk through life, point out every conspiracy theory. Oh, this was done this way. They're you become very paranoid and paranoid in a way that you feel like everything has an agenda, and most likely that agenda is against you and your purpose. And that's not where you want to stay stuck. You want to get that information. Once you understand that truth, then begin to do the inner work to reprogram all of that conditioning and all of that, okay? So basically, soul alchemy, that's the first stage, and that's where you go from unconsciousness to consciousness. So next is spiritual alchemy. So that means when you free your spiritual self from being trapped within fear, your old personal belief system, it's freedom from your core wounds. It is where your core beliefs is, where your soul self is. It's also where we may have some self-destructive patterns and personality structures as well. So once you understand who you are, your fears, all of those things, then you can begin to do the work. And that's when the spiritual alchemy begins to take place, because now you know what it is. Now you can work to transform it, okay? Next. So next, when you're going through spiritual awakening, there's several different symptoms that you may go through. So if you have people around you that you feel like, oh, they done joke this cult, oh, now they on this witchcraft, because that's the crazy stuff that I hear and I see. Oh, now they own this and that. No, they're going through a process of releasing their old, their old way of thinking, feeling, and believing, and they're stepping into beginning to restructure themselves in their belief system so that they can be better for themselves. And a lot of people don't understand, and sometimes you have to, and most of the time, you have to isolate yourself. You have to break, cut certain cords, because you understand that it's not beneficial for you reaching your own state of spiritual inner peace within harmony within yourself. Okay. All right. So some people have an increased tendency to let things happen rather than to make them happen. That means they have no control. But anyways, they you may often see them smile a lot at themselves randomly. They may have They may be a person that used to worry a lot, but they stop worrying. They, want to stay away from the drama. They don't care about what's going on with other people. You find that they don't want to embark on conversations about people. They don't want to talk about down on people when they're negative people within within their midst or around them, or where they're like, you give me an invite, I'm seriously gonna think about it, because I'm in this state of bliss, of happiness, of joy, and I don't want to be around nobody that is has stuff going on within themselves and they want to put it out. Hey, so if you're around somebody that's doing these things, they're not going through nothing, no voodoo, none of that stuff. It's none of that. It's about them maintaining that inner peace and that bliss within themselves, so that they can be better, so that their environment can be better. Okay. All right. So like I said, all of these things that you hear about spiritual awakening, spiritual ascension, it's not anything scary. It's mainly to tap inside your own mind, tap inside your own self, see where those little patches of darkness is, and do the work to make them light, so that you can be this whole beautiful light being. Okay. All right. So spiritual awakening, the first step is about that consciousness is transformed. You gain understanding of your part in the whole, and you are about investing in your own spiritual and emotional growth. So, and your own spiritual growth and evolution. So that goes to speak to all of that. So in step number 2, that's when you begin to take that closer look. Everything I just said, that closer look to your belief system. And you go through these 4 paths, and one of these 4 paths is the first path that you're going to take to begin to do that inner work. So there are 4 paths. First path is the path of love and devotion. The second path is the path of science and intellect. The third path is a path of action and selfless service. And the fourth path is the path of meditation and spiritual discipline. So everyone doesn't take the same path. Some people have to go down each of these paths, one by one. Some people only have just the one path that they need to get down, but each of these paths are areas that you go through or you walk down, or the paths that you take to get to that, as I was saying, that oneness within yourself and within, your world. Next, number 3 is seeking. So now that you know what is false, this is your stage where you want to find out what the truth is. You go to seek the truth, you go to seek answers, you go within, number 1, and you also do your research, but you don't process the information emotionally. You look at it from a higher perspective. So the last stage is where you begin to merge all of the paths that you went down together, where you begin to incorporate all of those things into your daily routine, into your morning routine. You may start to get up and say your morning mantra every morning. You may take that time out to meditate. You may begin to find yourself changing your diet. And once you begin to do all those things, this lightheartedness, and that's a part of spiritual awakening, you start to feel this light type of energy about you. So I pray that everyone gets to this, stage, that everyone takes that woke, now that you know what the real and the fake is, it's time to begin to do the work to reprogram yourself to get to where you're supposed to be. And that's not, and a lot of people too, and I'm talking and I'm gonna wrap up this video. A lot of people too get woke, and they get to the point where they start to research our true religious background, and understand that if you look right now in the news right now, they're facing karma as well, because things got dark and things weren't supposed to get dark. Somewhere down the line, something got dark, and like I said, there's always light and dark as well, but you're supposed to be able to balance those things out. And I said that to y'all in another video. You got to be able to, that good and that bad, you got to balance it out. You can't be out here doing all bad. You can't, however it go. You can't be out here doing all bad and don't put no good out to match that what you're doing, because, karma. So understand that Everyone has these tests and these obstacles along these paths that we have to take, whether that's the path of love and devotion or these 4 different paths that I just gave to you guys. Understand that there are going to be tests and there are going to be obstacles and there are going to be challenges to come to test you. And those are to get you firm and grounded into your new belief system. Because often when we face situations, we run back to our own way of thinking. We run back to our old way of doing things. We run back to, hold on, let me stop sharing this screen. We run back to the old. We run back to church, literally. We run back to church literally. So, and that's not, I'm not saying anything negative about the church, and that's another conversation that I want to have, but this is getting long. So there'll be another meeting and there'll be other conversations that we have, okay? So, like I said, those things are to test you and just to see if you go back or resort back to your old ways, to knock you off of this path. But it's all to strengthen you, okay? Understand that there are parts of the journey where you may feel alone, that you may forget about why it is you're doing this. You may feel like you may sit up and look around and nobody else around you is doing this stuff. No one else around you is on this journey. And no matter how hard you try to persuade them or how hard you try to be that example for them, they just ain't getting it. And that's also going to be a test for you as well. That means that you can't take everybody with you. And this is something that you're going to have to do on your own, and it's for you. And once you get you together, then you could be a better you for everyone else and for those around you. And you can't force things on people. So if you notice that these people aren't on what you're on, or they keep pulling you back 1 step forward, 2 steps back, they always tempt you to do certain things. They don't respect the journey that you're on. You're going to have to cut those cords, and you are going to feel lonely, but you have to remember that you are part of a whole, and you have a spiritual support team. God is always with you. You have archangels. You are not alone, and understand that sometimes you have to go in that fire and that flame by yourself, but you're going to come out either this beautiful phoenix, or you're going to come out something, that alchemy, something beautiful. That rock is going to be a beautiful diamond when it comes out of the fire. So, also understand that after the darkness comes light, and that's on one of those cards that I just made in my new deck. Okay, so understand, and if you go to that website that I just gave to you, that's going to give you this information as well. If you look it up, it's going to give you the same information for the stages. Understand that it's going to take a lot of strength and courage when you go through this spiritual awakening, when you go through these stages, when you start on your path. It's going to be a big test of courage. It's going to be a big test of strength. It's going to be a big test of virtue, of faith, of all of those things. But understand that they're for your strengthening, and it's to, what did I put here? It's for you to learn how to use your inner light as a guide, your inner compass as a guide, to understand that you have the power within yourself to do anything, to create your reality, to create the world that you live in, okay? All right, so last but not least on that finish line, understand that you are, at this point, you should be fully awakened, and that you're part of this life, not just your life, but you're a part of this bigger, I want to say scheme, this bigger operation. You do have significance, and you have a complete spiritual understanding. You have that higher perspective, and you walk in your spiritual truth, and you are fully aware of your power. And once you get aligned within yourself, then God and the universe starts to align the right people, the right resources. Everything that you need starts to fall. You become a magnet for those things. Okay? All right, so that is going to conclude our meeting for tonight, my loves. I love you guys. If you watched this whole video, thank you so much. I know I gave a lot of information. I know I can talk kind of fast. I know I was stumbling over words, but we're going to get this together. So I hope that this provided a lot of clarity for you. I gave a lot of information. I want y'all to seriously take and keep a spiritual journey. Go back, take notes. I'm going to continue these conversations, whether I have a lot of participants or not. I enjoy doing this. I love doing this. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And if we can spark the conversation, if we can, number one, teach this to the generations that's coming up, but also spark conversation within, our own generation, then we can begin to also do the process of bringing back harmony and some peace and balance. It's not going to always be sunshine and rainbows, but we can see more beautiful cloudy days, or beautiful sunshine days if we all do our part, okay? All right, so I want you guys to be blessed. I'm going to do the same thing for the next video. I'll make the announcement. I'll do a flyer. I'll do all the information, all of that stuff for you guys, okay? But I love you guys. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe below. Hit the notification bell so that you're notified when I upload a video. Also, you have to stay logged in, and if you hit all, then you will be notified. If you're logged in and you hit all, you'll be notified of every last one of these videos. I do want to get the spiritual conversation going, y'all. I want to have other people's inputs. I also want you guys to ask me questions so that I can use my pendulum and get some spiritual answers for us. That's what I use it for, okay? That is, like I said, I like doing this, and I feel like this is my purpose. And I thank you guys. I seriously do. I'm finna go because I'm talking. I want you guys to be blessed and stay blessed because you are blessed. Namaste.